Another question I found on my social media blog was, how do I apply universal laws to overcome my daily personal challenges? Well, when we are living in lower values, according to lower values, and not living according to highest values, or at least we're attempting to, maybe that's because we've met somebody and we've put them on a pedestal and we've thought I should be like them, and you tried to live outside your values and in somebody else's values and not in your highest values. Well, when you do, you'll create a self-depreciation, you'll create a bunch of drama, you'll create a valent, emotional, subjectively biased interpretation of your reality, and you'll get what is called a challenge. And the challenge is basically expecting somebody like yourself to be somebody they're not. Or you may do it in the opposite. You may look down on somebody and project your values onto them and expect them to live in your values and have the challenge of them trying to be, you want them to be like you. Anytime you try to be like somebody else or get them to try to be like you have futility. People live according to their values. You live according to yours. You might as well set realistic expectations. Otherwise, you're going to have a challenging life. No, if you're having challenges, how can you apply universal laws? Well, one of the universal laws is the law of balance. You know, at the very origin of the so-called Big Bang Theory, there was a symmetry. And Paul Dirac, the Nobel Prize winner, in his work on the principles of quantum mechanics, said that there was a perfect symmetry of particles and antiparticles. And there was a beautiful, elegant symmetry they study in mathematics about the cosmos. And when you look at it, the universe has a zero energy, according to physicists. That means all the positive and negative energies cancel each other. There was an elegant balance in nature. Now, this has been stated by Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher, by Pythagoras before his time, and many philosophers down through the ages. And scientists and philosophers have created these dialectics, which is a series of propositions and opposite propositions to ask to be able to see this balance. Even psychologists like Wilhelm Wundt talked about simultaneous contrast to see the balance. And Fritz Perls in his Gestalt understood the beautifully elegant of balance in the psyche. And in physiologists, they know the autonomic has to be balanced for maximum potential and balanced excitation inhibition ratios in the brain. So one of the laws of the universe is the balance of opposites, the unity of opposites, as Heraclitus described. I really don't think I could improve upon that. We see that in the farthest reaches of mathematics. It's called a balanced equation, which we call a proof in mathematics. We see it in philosophy with the synthesis of the dialectic, which Hegel called the spiritual experience. So what happens is if you actually apply that balance to our perceptions, and if we're seeing an imbalance, if we're dramatized by being infatuated with somebody and not seeing the downside, if we ask the question, what are the upsides to what we thought were, we're resenting somebody. If we're infatuated with somebody, we're not seeing the downsides. If we ask what are the downsides, we balance it. If we're resentful to somebody, we're not seeing the upsides. If we ask what are the benefits and be accountable to that and bring our balance sheet into balance and accountability, we bring things back into symmetry. Our psychology comes to balance. Our physiology comes to balance. Our ability to have sustainable, fair exchange with other people come into balance. We maximize our potential. Our brain tends to go from subcortical nuclei function to our more advanced part of our brain. We're more objective. We expand our space and time horizons. We actually add telomeres to our genes. The potential expands when we balance our equation. So how do we apply the universal laws of balance to our daily life and to our basic challenges? Our challenges are imbalanced perceptions. If you infatuate with somebody, you have an imbalanced perception, and now you're going to try to change you to be like them. If you resent somebody, you got an imbalanced equation. You're challenged. You're trying to get them to be like you, and then no one's going to be somebody they're not. So you're adding challenges to your life with an imbalanced equation, and the quality of your life is based on the quality of the questions you ask. If you ask questions that allow you to see the balance, you liberate yourself from the challenges, and you get to apply the universal law of equanimity and equity. Equanimity within yourself, the balance within yourself, and equity between you and others, which is the balance between you and others. And you return yourself back to the universal law, and you liberate yourself from all the emotional drama. And then you add years to life and life to years, and you end up having more potential. And because your potential in life is basically the energy potential is what they call Planck's constant times the frequency. The frequency is 1 over the wavelength. The wavelength is the speed in which you see both sides of things. So if you can simultaneously see both sides and have a balanced equation in your perceptions, you maximize your potential. You maximize your energy. But if you take a long period of time and have a lag between seeing the negatives without the positives or seeing the positives without the negatives, well, you just lowered your potential, you increased the wavelength, you lowered the frequency of your life, and you now have, in a sense, drama. So I'm a firm believer that you can apply these universal laws. One of the great universal laws is balance. The elegant symmetry and mathematical beauty, you might say, of the universe. Another law is the law of the one-to-many. You know, when you're dating many, you're looking for the special one. And when you got the special one, you're wondering about the many. Nature has a balance between one and many, which is basically a duality, because one is one and many is anything over two. So you find out that the duality of pairs of opposites that are in symmetry and balance, if they're perfectly balanced, you've got the balance of the one and the many. Unity and one is where you integrate, and many is when you disintegrate. Build and destroy. You know, peace and war, support and challenge. The pair of opposites that have to be balanced also expressed through the law of the one-to-many. Because if it's unifying, it's moving towards oneness, kind of like gravity is moving towards one center point, and radiation is moving from one into many radii. So nature has a way of bringing the balance and symmetry through the law of the one-to-many. And the one-to-many is we can be integrated and we can be disintegrated in our perceptions. If we live by our highest values, we integrate. If we live by lower values, we disintegrate. So nature is constantly attempting to bring the balance and bring into balance between the one and the many. These two universal laws are right there in our daily life. If we ask questions that become fully conscious and see both sides simultaneously, we automatically liberate ourselves from the drama and all the challenges that we face in our life. Our challenges are feedback mechanisms guiding us back to priority and back to a balanced perspective. So whenever you do have challenge, don't see it as a bad thing. See it as an indicator that's letting you know that it's time to ask a different set of questions to balance out the perception, to find the hidden order in the chaos, and to see the symmetry and the beautiful, elegant mathematical balance that's inherent in the universe right in our life. If we do, the universal laws will express themselves in nice physiology and give us permission. That's one of the reasons I teach that in the Breakthrough Experience, the signature program I do. I want everybody to know the laws that govern their behavior so they can maximize their potential and maximize their fulfillment in life. So a balanced state, as Pythagoras said, as Hippocrates said, and as great philosophers of the ages have said, and physiologists say today, has been identifying that universal law of balance.